who do you think deserves to be MVP?
I voted for Giannis. This was one of the, I've been voting, I don't know, 20 years or so. And this was one of the closest I can remember. No question about it. So if Harden wins, I'm not going to, erupt and complain and all that. But I think it should be Giannis. And here's why. Remember, this is a regular season award. The votes are due like April 14th or something like that. So forget everything that happened in the postseason. And to be honest, both of these guys had their low points in the postseason. So if we voted based on postseason, it would obviously be Kawhi. So I'm going regular season. We can go through the stats. Obviously, Giannis was great offensively, rebounded the basketball, had 6 assists a game, was arguably not only one of the top 5 offensive players in the league, but one of the arguably the best defensive player in the league. In fact, he's one of the 3 finalists for Defensive Player of the Year with Rudy Gobert and Paul George. And I voted for Giannis for Defensive Player of the Year. So does it on both ends of the floor. But let's get to the crux of the matter. Because the argument for James Harden is this. Houston was floundering. They were done. They were 11-14 in early December, and Harden went on this 30-point tear, and he saved their season, right? My point is this. Why should we reward Harden why did they get in the hole? He allowed them to fall into an 11-14 hole with Chris Paul healthy, with Clint Capella healthy, with Eric Gordon healthy. All those guys were healthy when they were 11-14. So he essentially was spectacular for 4.5 months of a 6-month season in terms of individual play and winning. He was spectacular individually the whole year, but in terms of winning, which is important in this, he was only great for 4.5 months. Giannis never allowed Milwaukee to fall into a hole. They were right out of the gate, I think 7-0. They only lost 2 games straight once the whole year. He was great individually and team-wise, winning-wise, the entire 82-game season. He's better on both ends of the floor on defense than Harden, way better. It's got to be Giannis. Got to be. And I just convinced Shannon. I can tell by the look on his face.
Oh, you already know you didn't convince me because I was trying to convince you during the season that it should be James Harden. Because let me tell you why I think it should be James Harden. James Harden was 3rd in the NBA in minutes at 37. Giannis was 42nd at 32. And here's the thing that you keep saying that Chris Paul was there. Chris Paul missed 24 games. Clint Capella missed 15. Eric Gordon missed 14. That's 53 total games between their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th best players. Middleton missed 5 games. Bledsoe missed 4. Brook Lopez missed 1. That's 10 games between their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th best players. Chris Paul, you said in December. Chris Paul missed 17 games in December and January. James Harden averaged 43 points, 8 assists in 39 minutes. That's what he did, Chris.
But Chris
Broussard.
was healthy. He went down after when the winning streak began. When they were 11-14, all those 3 players you mentioned were healthy. Why did Harden let them fall that low?
Hold on. And what we know now is that there was something going on. There was something brewing behind the scenes that we didn't know, Chris Broussard, that was causing this. So is it an accident that these numbers went to historic levels once Chris Paul was removed from the equation? I think not.
That's another reason.
We've never seen an offense.
Because Harden, he didn't alienate teammates. He didn't alienate teammates. Everybody was all love up in Milwaukee.
Hold on. Hold on. How is it James Harden? Because we've seen 2 places that Chris Paul has been and teammates have been alienated. He goes through a 3rd. Nobody else from that team. There was no one from the Clippers that claimed except Chris Paul. There's no one that came from the Hornets or the Pelicans, whatever they were before they changed their name, came to Houston except Chris Paul. So what we're seeing is a common denominator here. The numbers that this guy was able to put up on a nightly basis is that something we had never seen. Only 7 guys have this many points more per game than James Harden. 5 of them belong to Wilt. 1 belongs to Michael. The other belongs to Elgin Baylor. When you start getting to that historic type of category, man, MVP should be on your mantle.
So allow me to say before I answer this question, this is going to be really hard for me to watch tonight because I just recently had to watch Giannis get exposed in the playoffs. He got exposed. And I recently had to watch James Harden do what he has too often done in the big game playoff stages, and that is fail miserably. Whether they had bickering going on, I don't know, but he failed miserably, and we've seen that regularly throughout his career. So now tonight I have to sit and watch, and I know I get it. The definition of the award is what did you do in the regular season? But, man, it's got a big asterisk in my mind about it because I'm like, I don't know. Is it possible number 2 wins the award tonight in a shocker, like he's an upset win?
Not at all.
You sure? There's not going to be a write-in vote, a late write-in vote? But it is too bad. We couldn't have had this. There's that lull before the playoffs start. I don't know what it is, 4 or 5 days? Why couldn't we just turn around and just do it
you could
on a
extend
Thursday
it a
night?
You could extend it a week.
Okay.
Give them a few more days off.
All right.
And have a show. I agree.
Just do the big, and it would really matter then. We'd be all over it. And I'd be really, because then I'd have no playoff inglory to taint my view of these guys. I'd be thinking, Giannis just had a breakout season, and I'm with you. I'm torn. I'm where I was. I'm with Shannon on this one because in the end, I do have to make one point for James's year on defense. He was second in the NBA in steals, and he was second in deflections. Is that not pretty good?
Yeah, he was better defensively.
Doesn't that have impact on your basketball team? And then if you have 32 straight games of 30-plus points, that was revolutionary to me for a 6'5" guy to do that basically from the perimeter. 32 straight games, and his scoring average is the highest since Michael's in 86-87. Wow, that's pretty great. And I do think, I'm with you on they struggled early because they were all struggling, and he was struggling too. But once he locked in, it felt revolutionary to me from that point forward, where I know Steph had a breakthrough season where he did it from the three-point line, but once James developed this floater where he could make you pay, where he could just go up underneath you and make the floater. I've just never seen anything like that. He became unstoppable as a solo act. And you just don't see 6'5" guys who are unstoppable as a solo act, right?
Look, he was fantastic.
Wow.
I mean, you mentioned it. And the way he did it, I love the way he did it. A lot of people said it was boring, but because it was incredible for one guy to dribble that much, everybody knows what he's going to do, and you can't stop him.
You can't stop him.
I mean, it was incredible. However, and I don't know if it's just Chris or I don't know if there are other players, but that style of play, particularly in the playoffs, but we're talking about the regular season, does that alienate guys? Because one guy is doing so much. It certainly alienated Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about the other guys or not.
You know why? Because he ran away with usage rate. I mean, he dominated 41%.
Yep.
And
That's
number
incredible.
2 was Russell Westbrook with 33%.
That's
what?
Unbelievable. And that I think you have to take that into consideration when you look. I don't want to take anything away from what he did individually. But that does come into play when you talk about him averaging 36 points a game. That and the three-point line. Like, Michael Jordan's 37 points was, to me, far more impressive because the three-point line was irrelevant at that point.
It was irrelevant.
And he didn't have a usage rate like Harden.
Did it have, let me ask you a question. Hold on. So I'm trying, if I'm not mistaken, they brought the three-point line in what, 79?
But hardly anybody was shooting it, not just Michael. No, Larry Bird is one of the greatest shooters ever, and he wasn't shooting it.
Whoa. So why do you get so because they weren't using it, you're gonna punish James Harden because he became proficient at it? It was in effect.
I'm just saying your scoring average is going to be higher.
Yep.
You know, we heard Dennis Rodman say recently Michael Jordan would average 50 nowadays. Now I don't think that. I think Jordan would average 40.
No.
I think he'd average 40.
Does it bother you that Giannis, speaking of the three-point line, shot 26% from the three-point line? Does that bother you?
Well, and you mentioned it, and you were right on the money. He got exposed in the playoffs. Again, I said it before. At that time, it reminded me of LeBron against San Antonio. And they're at similar, LeBron was a little younger, but similar stages of their careers.
Okay.
And I think Giannis, it was good for him to learn that. And with his work ethic, how much he wants to win, I'm sure he's working at it. But no, it doesn't. Overall, it doesn't really bother me from this season because it didn't hurt him in the regular season.
No.
Hurt him in the playoffs, though.
James Harden had 2 60-point games, 9 50-point games, and 2 50-point triple-doubles. Chris, what you want the man to do?
Well, if Giannis does win this MVP award, he will be the second European, along with Dirk Nowitzki, to claim the title.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.